Then he asked me if I've ever read my Quran, and I look at him and I say, yeah, I mean, I've read it before, but I'm not supposed to read it because you're not supposed to read translations, and I don't speak Arabic, I speak Farsi, and so you're just not supposed to read it in another language other than Arabic. So he goes, well, why don't you just try reading it again so you know what it actually says? And I'm like, why not? Why not sit down and, you know, read what I believe in, what I pray 5 times a day for? You know, just with understanding, and I just understood what I was reading. And so as I was reading, I started noticing verses that I've never noticed before. Yeah, I mean, I've read it before, but I'm not supposed to read it because you're not supposed to read translation. Stop touching me! I started noticing verses about, you know, how men can beat their wives, and I started noticing other verses about just the violence and how I can't have Christians or Jewish friends, and I started noticing is there an explanation for these verses? So I go to the hadiths and I look at the sunnah, I look at what I believe in, and it supports the claims that are in the Quran. So I just had all these questions running through my mind as to why I've never noticed these before, and why the Ummah never told me about this before. And And so I went home that night and I read the whole Gospel of Matthew, and I took a piece of paper out and wrote every question I had down. If something didn't make sense, I wrote it down. I mean, I was like, who's this guy? What does apostle mean? What is a disciple, you know? I didn't just become a Christian without paying heed to Islam. Like, I loved Islam.
I loved Islam, I loved Muhammad.
And so I decided I need to learn more about my own faith. So when I would ask them questions like, why does it say this? Or did Muhammad really do this? Or is the Prophet really who you say he is? Why did he do this in this battle? And so I would ask these questions, and they would answer me, and some of them would say, yeah, I mean, you're right, you know. And so they would just acknowledge this, what I had found, and it was just crazy to me that they would acknowledge it. And some of them would say, you know, I think you have a psychological problem for asking these questions. because I have an attachment to it. My whole family's Muslim. All my distant relatives are Muslim. The country that I come from, like, that is a 99.9% Muslim country. Speaking to David through the blog a little bit, and he was just, going into things that I didn't want to know, like
terrorist attacks all over the news. People are starting to learn that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl, that he allowed his followers to rape their female captives, that Muslims can beat their rebellious wives.
Class, and I sit down at my computer and I'm watching Jesus or Muhammad on abnsat.com, and so I'm like, wow, like, I already know these things, but David and Sam were just putting it in my face and putting it in all the viewers' faces.
You mean the same thing that your prophet was fascinated with vaginas? And he wanted your God to stuff your faces and vaginas and breasts for all eternity? Your filthy God? That's in the Quran, 78:33. So Liverpool, why does your God like formed breasts? Does he like to stuff his face between the breasts of virgins? And why does he like to breathe in vaginas? What's his fascination with vaginas and breasts? Is he fascinated with your mother's breast and her vagina? Liverpool? Why does your God enjoy talking about firm breasts? Why does he like to breathe in vaginas? That's 66:12 and 78:33. Is it because he's fascinated with woman parts? So in paradise, what is he going to do? Is he going to have Muslim men stuff their face in your mother's breast and her vagina? Explain to us, what is your God's fascination with breasts and vaginas? Can you explain to us why your prophet in 65 verse 4 condone you Muslim rapists, terrorists, and adulterers to take girls who are still minors, marry them, sleep with them, divorce them, so that other Muslim persons like you can do the same? Wow! Stop for Allah! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
Jesus or Muhammad on abnsat.com, and so I'm like, wow, like, I already know these things, but David and Sam were just putting it in my face and putting it in all the viewers' faces. David and Sam were just putting it in my face and putting it in all the viewers' faces. Then he with so